So then when you left, did it feel like you were completely starting over? Did you already have friends on the outside? Or what, did it feel like you were hitting the reset button?
No, dude, all my friends, because all I was really, I chose a side. I wanted people my own age to like me, and I wanted to have a life or a crew of people like as you're going through your teens. So my friends became my family. I didn't, I was pretty much just what do they call it? A person of the world or whatever they call it.
A worldly person, yes.
A worldly person. It's a big word. You're worldly. Okay.
You had immersed yourself in Babylon the Great.
Babylon the Great. Oh, man. Dude, it's whack.
So obviously you must have gone off the rails at some point because you are a sober fellow, correct?
Yes,
okay.
Yes, sir.
So as is common with
a
lot of ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, with that level of repression, when you do leave, it's a lot of making up for lost time. All this stuff that you're told not to do, all these things that teenagers kind of, in my opinion, kind of need to do. You need to learn from your failures and let yourself, act a little reckless and get some shenanigans out of your system to find this middle ground.
Yeah, absolutely.
We weren't able to do that.
Yeah.
So I don't know about you, but when I left, it was just, sex, drugs, rock and roll.
Oh yeah, that's what I did. I had a list. Yeah, I was like, I'm free.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But what it did too is like all the mind fucking that happened my whole life, that was part of my drinking too. Because I'm like, what is this shit? Cards I got in life. Like I got to figure this out. It's like I got these messed up hypocrisy of my dad being Jehovah's Witness. These people all severed. I'm like, so I just went in hard. Yeah, definitely wanted attention from outside people. Dated a lot. Like I said, when I hit puberty, I was like, a lot of people that didn't pay attention to me. I tried to make sure that they liked me. All that stuff. It just developed a lot of neediness. I don't know. It wasn't like it created more problems for a while. Because I didn't know how to navigate.
Absolutely. I'm glad you said neediness, because I'm only you got a long shelf life.
It took me a long time to get that.
In terms of sobriety. You're way ahead of the game. I've only got 60 days. Yesterday was 60 days actually.
Congratulations. 2
but
months.
I realized early on I had a revelation that it's not drinking, it's not weed. My real addiction was validation and needing to be seen a certain way in people's eyes, needing to be seen as a normal person or caught up and just like everybody else.
Yeah, because we're not comfortable in our skin. It's like when you don't get the right kind of confidence when you're a kid, like they thought they were, but it's like throwing that kind of shit on a kid. You shouldn't even press any religion on your child, really. But like really throwing them into this whole school and this thing and everything about it, live and breathe. Like, we are in the real world. So it sucks that it's like, no, you want us to like navigate through both, basically. It's not like we're in a village somewhere where we're only around Jehovah's Witnesses. They don't do that. So it's like, it created a lot of doubt, a lot of lack of confidence. And that was really hard for me as a performer. Like you never believe you can do shit when nobody in your family is even, that's not that kind of rhythm, like, what are you going to go do? That sounds really worldly and this and, so just, it was hard for a while. Everything was hard. It made things harder for a bit, but then obviously better.
Yeah. I mean, I'm 40 years old, but in a lot of ways I feel 20 years old because I feel like my life didn't really start until I left when I was 20. And then at the age of 20, trying to cobble together an identity after just being, and it's so, it's the way that you're brought up to be as a Jehovah's Witness is so counterintuitive to adapting to the real world, because to be an upstanding Jehovah's Witness, you are supposed to just be a cog in the machine, just blindly follow along and just sacrifice any sort of individuality and just be a devoted servant of Jehovah. And that works. You do that, you're in good standing. Then you get in the outside world and you have these relationships and people don't know you and you don't know who you are or how to be yourself.
Yeah.
Because there is no you. You don't have a fucking identity. It's been erased. It goes hand in hand with the brainwashing. So then you have to scramble to try to become something or somebody and medicating the whole way through. I mean, I'm speaking for myself at this point, but I don't know if the truth is the same for you.
Sure. No,
medicating the whole way through because you're just in a state of overwhelm and feeling incompetent and behind and lost.
Yeah.
Right? Because you feel like you're just floating in space. Like, oh my God, when am I going to get my feet on the ground?
And what I noticed too is I had like a lot of like as a person in the world, like people that were Jehovah's Witnesses, they'd be like thinking I was out of pocket a lot of times. Cause like, when I was trying to be funny or do something, like, when you're so sheltered in certain ways, it's like when something would come out of my mouth, they'd be like, that's weird. I didn't even have a gauge on that stuff. Cause I was like, oh, I got to go hard in the world or whatever. People are like, yeah, that's pretty weird, dude. You know what I mean? I'm just like trying to be edgy or something, like that's crazy.
Yes. Now that you've been out, so you left when you were how old?
I left when I'd say, by 14, I wasn't going to any meetings at all.
Good for you.
And then I just, and then, 20 years of basically progressive drinking. But yeah, from 14 to 32, I was just like kind of a mess. Like, living in New York, that's another thing. You live closer to Connecticut's close, but it's like, I ran away to the biggest city I could find, went to school there just to kind of disappear into that. You know what I mean? And that's kind of where it all, but you don't get out of it. Everything has to be accounted for eventually when you kind of get clarity. So that was part of it. Like I had to rub all that off me, become a human being, get my own morals and my own scruples about things, point of view. You know what I mean? Instead of just being like, I'm damned to hell in that world. I don't know how to live in this one. You know what I mean?
I feel the same way. Like it was like we were raised this way of being good, upstanding Christian boys, being these squeaky clean, servants of Jehovah, living in his image, being a direct reflection of him and his will for us. And then you get out of that, and then the pendulum swings in the other direction, and you become this hedonistic fuck up who's just going balls to the wall, just trying to live a life that you were forced to abstain from for so long. And now...
like that I was robbed.
Exactly, yes. And now I'm finally kind of finding this middle ground. Hey, you see what I'm doing right now? I'm using gestures. If I was giving a talk right now, the elders would be like, hey, great, man, you're doing it so naturally. You're using gestures. But yes, it's taken me 40 years to now find this middle ground and realizing that, drinking, drugs are not going to help at all. It's all these feelings of uselessness and feeling ill-equipped to navigate the world are only exacerbated, And for so long, I was like, oh, I need this to adapt. This is what other people do. Surely I need this too. The idea of doing anything in moderation was out the fucking window.
Yeah, you have no meter for that shit, and that's the kind of thing. It's just like you just feel like you're trying to feel normal, but then everyone has normal problems. And like the one thing I definitely disagree with them on is that if we're all created by Jehovah or whatever, then why? There's gay people that their rule on gay people is like now, if you admit you're gay, you can still be in the church, but you just can't have a gay lifestyle. It's like Jesus Christ, dude. It's like that's not. What gay person is going to do that loves themselves?
Yeah.
It's like extra hate. It's like, now I really hate myself. What the hell's going on? You never get to be gay and all the fun stuff.
I was just talking about that with my last guest who's gay and the fact that they've doubled down on their homophobia and their stance on not having any flexibility for homosexuality at all is mind blowing. Like if they want to increase their numbers,
that's the one.
Dude, open the door to these people. You're missing out on a huge contingent.
And shame on them because they're almost like every other closed-minded religion when it comes to that. Like they're not even setting themselves apart from all the mouth breather, like just holy rollers that are like, you'll burn in hell if you're gay. It's like, you guys don't have a better option. Like you guys are supposed to be the humanitarian kind of like, I don't know. I can't imagine how it's just always the same shit. And then the elders are the people that know all your secrets.
Oh,
Jesus Christ. I learned one thing at a very young age is like, I knew how to act to like fool them if I wanted, but I just never wanted to. I was like, I didn't want to be fake. I was like, it'd be easy to have a double life or do whatever, but that's a lot of work. And you got to wear bad suits longer, just dressed up like a fucking mini adult.
Yeah. You look
mini me walking around. I had totes, those rubber things that go over your dress shoes walking around. Like what am I, a fucking 7-year-old Bible salesman? I'm like,
you gotta wear dress clothes 3 times a week. So your mom has to go out and buy you fucking suits that you can have in a rotating basis. But then, you're a kid, you're growing. So my mom would buy me suits that were 3 sizes too big. So every talk that I gave, I looked like fucking David Byrne and Stop Making Sense.
You look like Tom Hanks in Big.